and welcome to today's session. Please stand for the territorial song.
Oh, Montserrat, dear motherland, your children raise your standard high in toil and tears to serve you well, a crowning jewel from God's hand. Oh, Montserrat, by nature blessed, to you your children sing. Come, well of all, come, friend of all, to you your people cling.
Please remain standing as we invite Mrs. Sarita Francis, Executive Director at the Montserrat National Trust, to give a word of prayer. Mrs. Francis. Mrs. Francis. Okay, she's on her way. Sorry about that.
Heavenly Father, we thank you today for life, for strength, for sunshine, for the environment. We thank you that in Montserrat we have peaceful, we are free, and we can celebrate the richness of our heritage. We pray as this program proceeds that you will bless and your presence will be felt among us. We give you thanks again in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Mrs. Francis. Please be seated. Honorable Premier and Minister of Tourism, Mr. Easton Taylor Farrell, Honorable Minister of Communication and Works, Energy and Labor, Dr. Samuel Joseph, Permanent Secretary, Office of the Premier, Mrs. Daphne Castle, Permanent Secretary, Acting Ministry of Education, Mr. Liston Scarrett, Education Officers, teachers, students, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome and good morning to everyone. It is an honor for me to chair this event, and I take this opportunity to welcome each of you here today at this opening ceremony and panel discussion to mark Tourism Week 2022, which coincides with World Tourism Day, to be observed tomorrow. Tourism Week runs from 25th September to 1st October with the theme, Rethinking Montserrat Tourism, where people and planet are put at the forefront. The goal and purpose of the week is to raise awareness of the importance of sustainable tourism in the community while understanding the future of tourism, the importance of community-based tourism, as well as to create an awareness of career options for young people. This year's theme ties in with the goals and purpose of Tourism Week. It highlights the shift towards tourism being a pillar of development which covers improving visitor experiences, better managing the environment, social and economic impacts of tourism, and encouraging economic growth. Due to the many challenges faced within the tourism and hospitality industry around the world, it is critical that before tourism is taken to the next level, we seriously rethink what and how we create our unique experiences so that they are more sustainable for our growth and economy. However, the other elements of development need to be sustainable. Take the Montserrat National Trust, for example. At 90%, it is on its way to becoming 100% reliant on renewable energy. This is indeed a milestone and a step in the right direction to move closer to meeting its climate change goals. As we are all aware, Montserrat is a beautiful and awe-inspiring island with exceptional hiking and walking trails, stunning black sand beaches, the Soufrière Hills volcano, warm and friendly people, mouth-watering cuisine, natural spring water, and so much more. But these attributes, while important, must be packaged and managed appropriately to provide exceptional tourism experiences for visitors while benefiting communities. We simply cannot take our beautiful island for granted, as there is no Montserrat number 2. The environment, for example, is akin to tourism development. Therefore, consider how we offer our product and what we offer to remain eco-friendly and sustainable. Niches such as farm-to-table experiences, walking tours, astronomy tours, heritage tours, cooking and tasting tours, painting tours alongside traditional niches will provide added unique experiences for visitors and added benefits for taxi drivers, tour guides, restaurant operators, accommodation providers, as well as souvenir providers and others, which are all linked and play a pivotal role within the sector. Today, while we reflect on the theme, we must remember the youth, and we are offering them an opportunity to hear what tourism is all about from stakeholders who work directly in the industry. Unfortunately, tourism as a subject area is not part of the school's curricula, and therefore many students remain unaware of what tourism is and the myriad of opportunities available within this industry. Today, the panel discussion will help to showcase some of the career options available that will hopefully pique their interest in the field of tourism. As we continue the week of activities, we want as many people as possible to come out and experience Montserrat like a tourist. Share your views, help local businesses, experience something you have never done before, and have fun while we rethink tourism on our island. I urge us all to see the huge potential Montserrat has. Let us not take our island for granted. Thank you. Thank you. Without further ado, I would like to ask or invite the Honorable Youth Premier, Ms. Claribel Figueroa, to give brief remarks.
Pleasant morning, everyone. Please allow me to adapt the protocol that has already been established. Montserrat, like most small island developing states, remains a special case for sustainable development. Economic sustainability for small islands is normally dependent on earning foreign exchange, from manufacturing, agriculture, and tourism. Tourism has always been a major economic driver within the Caribbean basin, with industry being the highest grossing foreign exchange earner. Montserrat's pre-volcanic activity onset generated revenue from tourism sector to include short-term stay, overs, and long-term property owner occupancy. Once successful, it is therefore time that Montserrat collectively takes a more active role in attracting and maintaining visitors to the island. It is especially important for our economic development and future generations. Our future generations are constantly facing economic challenges as there is simply not enough industries providing job opportunities and skills development to support the continuously increase of young employable individuals leaving either MSS or MCC. The immediate question that we face as a nation is, how can we turn this around, or at least improve the situation for our youths, the future, and ours? Currently, the tourism industry is one of the most inadequately serviced industries in Montserrat, particularly when compared to the products and services offered by our regional neighbors. It is in this area that our youths can make a name or build a business with the capacity for continuous growth. However, to achieve this, our youths need training in tourism, customer service, and entrepreneurship. These cornerstone skill sets can assist our youth with necessary tools to create their own businesses. The tourism industry is such a wide and diverse avenue to generate income, which can include but are not limited to craft and artisan pieces, promotions using social media such as YouTube and TikTok, cultural entertainment such as masquerade, cultural foods such as goat water, tour guides, and the list goes on and on. This could be the platform where our youth can truly shine. I would therefore like to implore and challenge the noted individuals to consider our current situation and support the youths in making this dream a reality. We need more than ever to retain our youths and provide opportunities for them to play their role in developing our tourism product. Help the youths have something different and unique to look forward to. All this, however, cannot be made possible unless we find a way to continuously attract tourists and not limit their influx only to Carnival in December and St. Patrick's in March. As the youth premier, it is my hope that every day, whenever I pass or look out at Cowles Bay, I can see at least one ship docked or docking. That is my wish for Montserrat. I encourage us to look towards the potential, look towards the future. Montserrat has so much to offer, especially our youths. Let us rethink tourism and Montserrat with the conviction of Montserrat, still home, still nice. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Figueroa. We now call on the Honorable Premier and Minister of Tourism, Joseph E. Farrell, to give brief remarks and to declare Tourism Week open.
Officials, invited guests, stakeholders, students, a very good morning. I'm very pleased to see so many school children, or young adults, may I put it this way, this morning. It is indeed a pleasure to be with you here this morning at the opening of Tourism Week 2022, and more especially at the panel discussion which focuses on the youth. Today, on the eve of World Tourism Day, as we focus attention on rethinking Montserrat tourism, special attention is placed on putting people and the planet first. This means the spotlight is on long-term sustainability and the need for users of the sector to not only gain from it, but also to be part of the solution to improve it. This also means communicating with and truly understanding people and their needs, building relationships and partnerships while striking a balance for the use of a natural resource. We join with leaders, stakeholders, students, travelers, including Montserrat diaspora, around a shared vision for the most sustainable, inclusive, and resilient tourism sector. We are cognizant of the important tourism plays in the economy, but we are also cognizant of the many threats that can affect the sector and derail it. Sorry, technology, of course, getting there. Take, for instance, the COVID-19 pandemic. We saw how devastating it was to the tourism industry. In particular, how many millions of businesses and individuals around the world who were affected. Some lost their livelihoods, some businesses closed for good. But just when we thought we were getting out of COVID, we also have to deal with climate change. And this is another huge risk which is threatening the tourism sector at an alarming rate. It is now more crucial than ever for us to work together to improve our sector. Climate change is with us. We have experienced and are experiencing the impact of climate change on our diversity, or biodiversity. We are seeing the impact of climate change on our tourism infrastructure. Now more than ever, it's crucial that stakeholders, users, you work together, not only to benefit from the tourism sector, but to try and improve on the sector as we move forward. Whether we are called upon to work on preserving the environment, whether it's social or economic long-term impact, we must work together for the long-term existence of the sector. As the tourism sector's recovery continues, the opportunity to rethink tourism and realign the sector has been made possible. Montserrat tourism sector is small and therefore very vulnerable. Thus, putting our peoples and planet first is truly profound. We are seeing the results of building partnerships and working together, which provides a pillar of strength for the sector to stand on. This is very evident today as the tourism division is working with tourism stakeholders and the youth to transfer skills and knowledge about tourism and the environment. The government of Montserrat is committed to improving the sector's resilience through development of policies and the new Sustainable Development Plan, which is being finalized, is one such document which includes a wide cross-section of goals to include economic development, human development, climate resilience, and governance. These all feed into the universal call to action, to end poverty and protect the planet and improve the lives and livelihood of everyone. As we continue to rethink tourism, let us continue to engage our youths, stakeholders, residents, and funding partners. Let us encourage them to work with our technicians and officials to build a resilient nation that will stand the test of time. On this note, I take this opportunity to declare the 2022 Tourism Week officially open. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Premier, for those brief remarks. Let me take this opportunity to acknowledge the presence of the reigning Miss Montserrat, Miss Neil Sinclair. And at this time, we will call on the Product Development Officer in the Tourism Division, Ms. Ronica Gerald, to move the vote of thanks.
A pleasant good morning to all and to those who are watching online. I acknowledge the protocols that have been established. It gives me great pleasure to express gratitude on behalf of my employers, the Government of Montserrat, more specifically Tourism Division, to the people and agencies who made this event a success. Thank the Almighty God for making it all possible, and Mistress Sarita Francis for invoking his presence here today. Thank you. A special thank you to Mistress Rosetta West-Gerald, Director of Tourism, for delivering the welcome remarks. She certainly made us feel welcome, and by extension for chairing the opening ceremony of Tourism Week 2022 and today's panel discussion. I would like to thank the Honourable Premier and Minister of Tourism, Joseph E. Farrell, for his brief remarks and for reminding us of how important it is for us to put people and the planet first as we embark on rebuilding the sector. Thanks is also extended to him for declaring the week activities open. It is always a joy hearing from the youths, and today is no exception. Thank you to the Honourable Youth Premier, Claribel Figaro, for your encouraging speech. We are grateful. Our gratitude is also extended to the Ministry of Education and the Montserrat Secondary School for allowing the students to participate in today's session. We are also grateful for the tourism students of the Montserrat Community College who was able to join us today. Thank you to the members of the GIU and Radio Montserrat for the live coverage, and to Namcas Enterprise for providing the floral arrangements. Much appreciation to Teresa Scott for assisting with some of the furniture into the venue, and for Alvin Jim Scott for preparing the refreshments. Thank you to Royden Silcott from Hypnotic for producing our World Tourism video, which will be officially launched today. On behalf of the Tourism Division, we recognize the esteemed panel of skilled and talented tourism contributors, namely Sergeant Kirk Kentish Braid, Miss Narissa Golden, Miss Venaire Bass, Miss Clover Lee, Miss Sarah Sweeney, Dr. Gary Morton, Mr. Norman Castle, Miss Gracelyn Castle, Mr. Vince Roy Riley, and Mr. James Scriber Daly. Thank you for offering your time and willingness to share your knowledge today. We are grateful. Miss Angela Greenaway, thank you for consenting to moderate the discussion. I foresee a healthy and informative dialogue. Later, we will be entertained by the melodious sound of the Volcanic Steel Orchestra. We look forward and say thank you. I would like to take the opportunity to say thank you to our committee members, the Office of Premier, and the tourism team, and more importantly to you, the audience. Tourism Week was held in partnership with the United Nations Development Programme. We thank the UNDP for their support. Continue to enjoy the rest of today's programme, and I anticipate your presence for the rest of the week as we enjoy together and build Montserrat tourism product. In the words of the former President John F. Kennedy, ask not what your country can do for you, what can you do for your country? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Veronica, for moving the vote of thanks. So we are finished with the formal session, that is the opening ceremony, and we will move into the panel discussion. But before we do so, I just want to let you know how we are planning to do it. So we have 10 panelists, and of course, what we're thinking is that we'll put 5 panelists up first, and then the other 5 after, so that we don't have everybody here at the same time. And of course, the students, etc., we're hoping you'll be asking questions. This is for you especially. So without further ado, we will move into the panel discussion. But before we do that, just one more thing. We're having a mini expo here this afternoon from 1 p.m. until 3 p.m. You are invited to remain just to see what the service providers in the tourism industry have for you. Additionally, I want you to sit back as we launch our 30-second video for Tourism Week. This is a new video which we're about to launch. Just give us one moment so we can remove the podium so you can see the screen. just give us a few minutes so that we can prepare the space for the discussion. Thank you. So at this time, we would like to invite a few of the panelists up. So as I mentioned before, we will have 5 of the panelists here first. And we have Ms. Sarah Sweeney, Alveston House, Mr. James Scriber Daly, Scriber Adventure Tours, Mr. Kirk Kentish Braid, KCK Unlimited, Dr. Gary Morton, Shemango Villa, and Mr. Norman Castle from NAMCAS Tours. Thank you. So I'll just read the bio of the moderator, Mrs. Angela Greenaway, and she will read the bios of the panelists. Mrs. Angela Greenaway holds a BA Honors in Economics and History from the University of the West Indies Mona campus and an MSc in National Development and Project Planning from the University of Bradford, UK. She has also gained certification through short courses in policy, development, leadership, and management from reputable institutions such as the World Bank Institute, Schulich School of Business, York University, Canada, and ICPS, UK. Mrs. Greenaway has over 30 years working experience as a senior management level in the public service of the government of Montserrat. Senior management jobs included the post of Cabinet Secretary and Permanent Secretary Development. During her tenure, she managed multi-million-dollar projects, provided advice to policymakers on major policy issues related to national development, developed national policies, and spearheaded the production of national development plans. She has also involved in the management of some elements of public sector reform and change management. She has overseen the development of policies related to the development of the private sector and the tourism sector. She also worked closely with private sector entities and actively participated in investment promotion activities. Her work in the private sector has also included the assessment of loans to small and micro enterprises. Mrs. Greenaway is currently a part-time lecturer both at the Montserrat Community College and the University of the West Indies Open Campus, At these tertiary institutions, she facilitates studies in tourism, economic development, and Caribbean studies. Mrs. Angela Greenaway. Thank you.
Morning, everyone. It is indeed my pleasure this morning to be a part of this panel discussion to moderate Rethinking Tourism Development in Montserrat. As you heard, I would have been involved in the tourism sector for a very long time, and I'm indeed very happy to see that we have once again resumed the tourism awareness campaign and having a whole week of activities for tourism in Montserrat. It was one of the things that used to feature very prominently, and we haven't done it for many years. And I know it's something that I've been discussing with Rosetta for quite some time. So I'm indeed happy that we're back once again with that. The slogan about Montserrat being nice, Montserrat Paradise, is one of those early Tourism Week slogans that I remember, and it's something that sticks in your mind. I also want to welcome our students, and especially my Caribbean studies and my tourism students from the Montserrat Community College. And I look forward to your active participation in the panel discussions. It's not my job this morning to speak extensively, so I will start introducing our panelists. Ms. Sarah Sweeney. For the past 9 years, Sarah Sweeney has been head chef and co-owner of Alveston House Restaurant and Guest House in Montserrat. She studied culinary arts at Ashburton Chef Academy in Devon, England in 2013. In 2015, she was featured in Youth on the Rise, which was sponsored by CARICOM Youth Ambassadors and the local Department of Youth Affairs and Sports to highlight young people achieving. In 2017, Alveston House Restaurant was voted as the 3rd best restaurant in the Caribbean by a social media vote organized by USA Today magazine. She enjoys experimenting and creating delicious dishes using seasonal foods to be enjoyed by both residents and visitors. Ladies, gentlemen, students, Ms. Sarah Sweeney. James Crabbe-Daly has been a forest ranger for over 30 years. He's Montserrat's foremost expert on its national bird, the oriole, and many other bird species. He has a unique bird call which beckons birds to reveal themselves upon his call. He's well known for his hiking tours on all trails across the island and has more than 40 years of knowledge on the island's flora and fauna. Scriber offers a variety of tours, including hiking, bird watching, turtle watching, and island tours. He's also an avid diver and snorkeler, a true naturalist. Ladies and gentlemen, students, James Crabbe-Daly. Kirk Kentish Braid. Kirk Chet Kentish Braid is the proprietor of KCK Unlimited, which provides services to include, but not limited to, creative arts, costume building, woodworking, cultural practices, tour guiding, clothes protection training, first aid CPR, and ED training, and more. He has over 30 years' experience in the field of craft making and has been contributing his talents throughout the community over the years. Ladies and gentlemen, students, Mr. Kirk Braid. Dr. Gary Morton, DBA, MBA, MSM. Dr. Gary Morton is a director for a $40 billion Fortune 100 global insurance company, Liberty Mutual Insurance. He has been with the company for over 18 years and leads in the independent agent distribution business segment. He has also served as a director within corporate philanthropy, overseeing what became one of the best-in-class employee charitable giving programs that provided over $175 million to over 10,000 charities, impacting countless lives across the world. Prior to this, he held various leadership roles in finance, project management, analytics, strategy execution, and business operations. Dr. Morton was also elected president and CEO of the National Black MBA Association, which he led for several years. He's also the owner of both a real estate company in Boston and the beautiful Shea Mango Villa in Montserrat. Dr. Morton has a Bachelor of Science degree in finance and a Master of Science degree in global management. He completed an MBA with a triple concentration in operations, technology, and real estate management as recent as 2019, completed a Doctor of Business Administration degree with a specialization in project management. Dr. Morton is a proud Montserratian and son of Dan Morton and Sis Morton. He's a devoted husband and father of two, a teenage son and soon-to-be teenage daughter. He serves on several boards and was honored by the Montserrat Progressive Society of New York during their 100th anniversary celebration for his outstanding achievements in business. Ladies and gentlemen, students, Dr. Gary Morton. Mr. Norman A.M. Castle. Our panel member for this morning's presentation is Mr. Norman Anthony Manley Castle. The series of names can be mostly attributed to his father. The lone exception is the first name being that of the doctor associated with the delivery of one of the largest babies for that year. Like most Montserratians, Mr. Castle, after secondary school, continued with courses of study from the University of the West Indies. Although his tertiary education with the UWI was focused on business management, Mr. Castle was trained in a variety of other disciplines. These include meteorology, air traffic control, and commercial piloting with an instrument rating. Despite being an avid participant in numerous local and international community organizations like Rotaract, Rotary, Optimist, etc., the key motive was always business. Although spending over 24 years in the public service and being airport manager for more than a decade, the ultimate goal was achieved when he started managing his own business. The active community involvement naturally influenced him to lean to the hospitality industry, but he is not at all intimidated to engage in any business avenue that is deemed legal and moral. Over the last decade, long-standing affiliation with the tourism or hospitality industry has allowed Mr. Castle's business to become one of the premier providers of tour operations and concierge services locally. As chairman of the Stakeholder Advisory Council, he believes that all stakeholders must regularly support the strategic initiatives and activities of the tourism division. It is in that vein that he is indeed pleased to be involved in the revived Tourism Week and to contribute to today's forum. Ladies and gentlemen, students, Mr. Norman Castle. So having introduced our panelists, I will now invite each of our panelists to give an introduction, tell us a little bit about themselves, about how they got involved in the tourism sector, and any other information that they consider pertinent. We start with Sarah.
So I'm Sarah Sweeney. I am 31 years old. I've already. Mother of two beautiful girls. I run All Western House with my mom as co-partners. She deals with the front of house admin, and I create the meals in the back. Being in the tourist industry is something I grew up in. My father had a water sports business, so hence training people how to water ski and windsurf and all of that. And then after that, they went into the restaurant business. So it's a business that I grew up in. Growing up, I hated it. I will not lie, I hated having to work in the restaurant. It was a pain in my side being a teenager and having to come home and help mommy and daddy in the restaurant. But after many years of doing it and realizing that I'm good at it, I decided after college, I had a few people come up to me and say, "What are you gonna do? You can't be still here." Sir Howard Fergus being one of them. You can't just sit down in Montserrat. You need to go away. You need to find something what you need to do. And at that point, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I wasn't in a rush. So I started thinking and realizing that I'm good at cooking, and I actually like doing it, and searching for culinary schools that were in my budget, because going to culinary school is not cheap. It's a quick class, but it's not an inexpensive one. So I had to find one that was in my budget range and in a comfort zone that was close enough to family, going off at 21 and deciding that's what I'm going to do and living on my own. Coming back and deciding needed to step Montserrat's culinary game up a bit, and going from there, and I've been doing that ever since. So.
Yes, good morning to everyone, and it's really been a pleasure here. And as you know, my name is James Scriber Daly. Firstly, the name Scriber actually came from the word describer, because going to school, the teachers used to say I was very good at describing things, so it makes their job very easy. So once that I get it, they would ask me to come in front of the class, and they would say, "James Daly, describe it to the rest of the class." And from there, they called me describer. Then later on, Scriber transferred from that. Ladies and gentlemen, I could stay here and I could talk forever, because let me say this. I'm 62 years of age, and I start tour guiding from the very tender age of 9. I'm from the village of St. Patrick's, where you had most of the tourism products of Montserrat then, where you had the galleries, soufriere, the bamboo forest, the Great Alps waterfall, and the Galway's plantation site. So I've been involved in helping my parents buy my school books and my uniform at a very early age. Never realized that this would really be my life and transfer into something so unique. Tourism is such a unique thing for me, and is like part of my DNA, because I'm very comfortable dealing with whatever I have to deal with when it comes on to the tourism sector. Especially when I see these youths this morning, it actually gives me goosebumps, simply because I know exactly how important tourism is, and as we are rethinking Montserrat tourism, I like that team. I don't know who came about it, but that's a powerful team. And for the youth parliament representative that gave that speech this morning, I have to compliment you in a big way, because it seemed as if you're reading my mind. Now, I actually developed back in 2009 Scriber's Adventure Tours. Now, as I mentioned to you, I started so very young, at a very tender age of 9. And I also, it would be remiss of me if I not mention the name of Mr. Franklin Magaston from the Montserrat National Trust, because he was one of my motivator who actually grabbed me and said, listen, Scriber, you're doing a fantastic job, and I don't think that you even realize what you're doing, you know, but I think that you're serving Montserrat in a big way in the tourism sector. And he actually gave me that opportunity to travel into Puerto Rico a few times, into interpretation skills, to develop my skills into how you deal with tourists, and certain things that you should do, certain things that you should not do. And I have to be very thankful for that. But as I mentioned, I can stay here and I can talk for so many different things. But just to mention a few things, in 2009 when Scribers Adventure Tours actually developed, it developed, but as you listen to my talk, Scribers Adventure Tours actually was born way beyond that, you know, and as we came on this side of the island, because most of the tourism products, as I mentioned, was in the south, and all of the concentration were in the south center, the South Soufriere Hills. And after we came over here, developing into a birder, not even realizing that I had that skill. But then I have to be very thankful for the Department of Environment, the Forestry Division then, and Mr. Gerard Gray, who gave me the opportunity to excel and to bring people to Montserrat, where I'm talking about in-house training, and people who had to come and work with the Department of Environment. And then after being there with these people out in the field, I never realized the importance and the skill that I had, but then these people looked up to me so highly and realized, well, hey, you are Montserrat foremost person who's going to be developing into this or into that. And I could remember Wayne Arendt, a gentleman from Puerto Rico, who actually said to me that, hey, Scriber, you are Montserrat foremost, and this would take you worldwide. You know that you are an ornithologist. I said, ornithologist, I don't even know that name. I don't even know what that word is. He said to me, I listen to you, I watch you. You are very skilled on lots of different things, especially in the avian fauna, which is the birds. He gave me my first book to, you know, my field guide to look into, and I'm telling you, he gave me for that weekend, and that was a dream. After I gave it back to him on the Monday, he's challenged me again, and that is exactly where I got to learn the true names of birds. Tourism is my thing. I would always be part of it. I think that I have a very good life, and I can tell you, and I can stand tall, I can watch everyone in the face, you know. My life has been a very, very good one. If I die today, I could tell you that Scriber definitely had a very good life, and I would really want you, the youths, to realize that whatever passion that you have within you, just don't let that go apart. Just don't throw it away. There's something special within you, and I want to be able, if I live long enough, to sit where you are sitting and to see one of you guys, one of you girls up here, and actually give a speech, and I could say, look, this is Montserrat. Montserrat is on its way forward. Thank you very much.
Pleasant good morning, all. Most of you may know me, as I've taught quite a bit of you as well at summer school and other events itself. My name is Kirk Chet Kentish Braid. I've been involved in cultural practices for quite a number of years. I started making stuff from tender age of maybe around 4. And I started making stuff just for the love of it. And growing up, I used to always try to see what I can do, make use of every single material that's around. Could be some bark of a tree, I pick it up, start carving it, making it into something. And I used to just start giving people stuff just as gifts. And I like the way the persons used to react towards the gifts that I made and all the good comments that they used to always give me about how creative I am, etc. And that gave me the idea of to explore a bit more. I also had an aunt, Miss Mildred Dawe. She passed away in 2001. She also used to be involved in making a lot of craft and so forth for the tourism. And I used to also make stuff and show her what I can do. And every other artist that I meet, I always used to show them my creative skills as well. Growing up, I started to be a bit more involved in a lot of activities around. I used to like to do a lot of adventures on the weekend, go mountain hiking, different stuff like that. And I get to know a bit of the different types of plants, different things that they can do, what the benefits are, etc. And person used to just kind of follow me around based on the fact that they know that I know this and I am able to do that, etc., stuff like those. And as time went by, as I say, I used to always showcase all my work to various artists around. Kevin West was one of the persons as well who I used to show my work to. So when I graduated from secondary school, I used to always make stuff and take by him and ask his opinion on it, etc. So then he told me, now that you finish school, you start working. Why not try and invest in the work that you do and make a business out of it? It was a good idea. I know it was a bit tough at the time, but I started to take his advice and start to make stuff. And I found out about the Montserrat Art and Craft Association that used to be in the Braids area below physical planning area. And I used to take stuff there and put on display for sale. And every week I would pass by, sometime if I'm free, I would just stay there and spend the time just to see what persons' interests are, what their likes are, what persons like to get. Because I always wanted to be something different. I didn't like to make stuff that everybody has. I wanted something unique, something that they could say, this was made by me and not somebody else's copy. And from there, I just started to develop my skills a bit more. And then 2006, they had the Calabash Festival, which I was approached and asked if I was willing to take part in it. And I began making some items there. I never had proper tools, but I made use of what I had at the time. And then Miss Elizabeth Libran, after she saw what I was capable of doing, she had a set of carving tools, which was my first set that she actually donated to me. And then my skills even mastered a bit more from then. So I started making more stuff from calabash, coconut shells, and even better wood carvings than what I usually actually do. And I joined the police service in 2007. And after joining it, I actually put aside those creative skills that I had and tried to focus on what I was trained to do. But while I was there, I did have a conversation with an inspector at the time, Inspector Mead. And he was listening to some persons who was talking about the stuff that I used to do, etc. So then he met me one day and asked me, why is it that I kind of stopped what I was doing, etc. So I was told him that based on the job I do now, I don't really have the time for it. So then he advised me that, don't worry about that. If you have a skill, it's something that you're born with. It's your gift, it's your talent. You can't let it go to waste. So always make use of your talents, no matter what type of job you do, no matter the circumstances that you may be going through. If you have that talent, make use of it and just do your best. And I thought of it after a while, and then one day I was at work again, and some persons were there drawing some stuff. So then I would explain to them that I used to be able to draw like that too. So then they decided to have a drawing competition. And I drew something, and then drew something after. Then I drew something again, and then drew something after. And then they were laughing at what I was doing because they're saying that don't look like if you could do anything good. So then that kind of made me to think a bit more again. And then the following week, I just took some time off on the weekend, and I took my time and did a perfect sketch. I did some paintings, etc., and brought it back. And I showed them what I can do. And then they say, you're a real master for real. So, and that itself kind of got me back into the spirit of making stuff and getting my skills out there. And in 2012, one of my former art teachers, Mr. Chad Kamabach, he had a workshop on costume building, etc. And he asked me if I was willing to take part in the course because he knows of how creative I am, etc. So I decided, all right, let me try it out. I never really did costumes for sale, but I've making stuff from wire and other craft work, etc., things like those. So I decided, let me try it out. And I started making a few stage props for shows, etc., things like those. And it actually was good, and I actually liked the experience that I had. And even before, when he started the workshop, I actually completed stuff within the 2 days. So he told me, take your time, man, take your time. You still have plenty to learn. So from there, I just began making stuff, and I decided, let me pass on the skills that I have by registering with the Department of Youth Affairs during the summer school, and pass on the knowledge that I have to the youth itself. And it's been a good venture from since then. So from 2013 to present, I've been teaching creative arts, costume building, etc. to the youth, and making sure that they keep that cultural spirit alive. Thank you.
All right, good morning. All right, how's everybody doing? Okay, good. I just want to make sure that I'm still with everybody here. First of all, I've got to say it's a blessing to be here. It's a blessing to be alive, and it is a greater blessing to be in paradise. My name is Dr. Gary Morton, and I was also blessed to be born in paradise. I grew up here until I was the age of 15 years old, and I heard the premier say, it's great to see the school children. I'm so excited to see you all in here this morning. I still consider myself a school child as well, because I'm a lifelong learner. And even though I see teachers who taught me at MSS right in front of me, I'm still a school child because I will always be learning. And so, just to tell you, I'll be really concise. Once I left Montserrat, I went to Boston in the USA, in the United States. And I went there at the age of 15, so I continued high school there, and then I went on to college, so forth. Just to kind of fast track that, I went to a lot of different schools and universities, got a lot of degrees, but the best learning that I attained through this stage of my life is really traveling the world. And that's kind of how I got in touch with tourism. I've been to 5 of the 7 continents in the world, and I've been to I've been to 37 countries to be exact. So I've seen tourism industry all over the world and what it should look like, what should it feel like, what the experience should be, so that you want to keep going there. And so my tourism in terms of Montserrat kind of started with me as a child, and my mom, who was a maid, worked for Neville Bratcher agencies in Old Town. And whenever there was a school holiday, I would go with her to just tag along, and the best experience of my life is jumping in the pool, because we didn't have a pool. I lived in Richmond Hill, but we didn't have a pool. I would love going and jumping in the pool. And so when I was able to come back to Montserrat and, worked many years, I worked 10 years in banking, and as it said earlier in my bio, I've been 18 years with Fortune 100 company, Liberty Mutual, who makes over $40 billion a year. It all positioned me to be able to come back and buy a property. And so guess what? I bought the property that I swam in as a child and just dreamed of owning one day, right? So nothing is impossible. And so that's where it started. And I remember as a child here in Montserrat that I wanted to share this pool in Old Town with everybody, right? All my friends. And so as I traveled the world, and I've got friends all over the globe now, I want them all to come to Montserrat. And so that kind of got me in the venture of bringing them home. And every year, every Christmas, I was bringing home 10 to 30 people to Montserrat. And, but we didn't have enough capacity on island. There was no place to really house them, like, you know. And so I really embarked on expanding the property to be able to house more friends, family, and anybody who wants to experience that special place, that paradise that's Montserrat. And so now, you know, it's grown to 21 bedrooms, 21 suites, and so we've got lots of capacity, and we're able to host folks from anywhere in the world, give them that authentic Montserrat experience. One where they can kind of get one with nature. I mean, you can walk out of your room and pick a soursop bush and make your own bush tea, right? And free of cost. It wouldn't cost you a dime. And it actually would be the most nutritious thing that anyone could have over the world. So talk about creating experience that will bring people back to Montserrat, back to paradise, time and time again. When we talk about rethinking Montserrat, when we talk about sustainability, you know, that's what, you know, I want to create to help drive tourism. And I know just from my business background, there's just so many facets to tourism. I mean, the Caribbean market, I don't know if you guys know this, but how big do you think the Caribbean tourism market is? Any guess? Any students? Okay, no guess, that's fine. You don't want to put yourself on the spot. I understand that. It's a $39 billion industry. $39 billion with a B, not an M, with a B, right? And think if we were able to get 1% of that. Can anybody do the math real quick? What's 1% of 39 billion? I hear some numbers. Okay, so the quick math, it's $390 million, US dollars, right? And so you multiply that times 3, essentially, and you know, it's huge. It's a huge opportunity for Montserrat and for our economy. So therefore, I want to help the Montserrat economy. I want to help us Montserratians not only show off our Montserratian product, but really be able to bring a lot of the dollars so that everybody could be affluent in Montserrat. And so, you know, there's so many things that I realize that's involved with running a business. And I hope that you're going to learn a little bit about that today. But first of all, you have to think about product development. What are you going to sell? Is it going to be, you know, meals? Is it going to be tours? What are you going to sell? So you have to think about that. Then when you think about that, you also have to think about how are you going to market it? How are you going to sell that product? Like, you know, how are you going to get people to engage, to want to buy it, to make actual sales, right? So then sales is another piece. And how do you, you know, motivate folks to sell the product for you? Then you also have to think about, you know, supply chain management. Once you've got that product, like how do you service it? How do you make sure you have all the right things in place when you need it to have it in place? Especially in a place like Montserrat where it's not very easy to get things to all the time. And so then you have to think about it, like if you're in the hotel or like Chez Mango Villa as an example, you have to think about guest services. How do you provide that unique experience that's better than anywhere else in the world? And then you also have to think about the finance and the accounting, right? Because you're still going to have to pay taxes and you have to do all those things, right? And so you want to make money at the end of the day. So how do you ensure that it's profitable? And then you also have to think about, you know, the property development. Like how are you going to continue to develop so it's sustainable? How are you going to manage it so it continues to be sustainable? What kind of succession plan are you going to have so it lasts way beyond your life? So those are all the things that got me really excited about tourism and the tourism product in Montserrat. And that's why I'm here to represent Chez Mango Villa on that accord. And that's me in a quick nutshell.
Yes, good morning, folks. My involvement in the tourism industry is sort of like by default. I always wanted to be involved in business. From even in school, as part of the Boys Club and different other organizations, we actually introduced the food lunch program in the secondary school. People used to tell us that we would sell anything. We used to have so many different raffles, which only members in the club won anyway. But those are different stories. But eventually, and even listening to some of the other presenters here, it's important to see how sometimes your parents and even in my case, siblings influence your careers. My father was a person who, whenever relatives came on Montserrat, he would always take them to different sites. We always were going around showing them what's happening in Montserrat. And so that became even like basically as a family practice. So even us as children, when our friends came from the other islands that we went maybe to university or whatever with, we would do the same, take them to different sites on Montserrat. And we go hiking and doing different activities. And so that continued, and as I said, often being influenced by other siblings. One of my sisters was actually the director of tourism. So I was always there involved in tourism activities, helping them to raise funds and different things like that. But as time went on, I was involved with one of my sisters who had a bed and breakfast. And lots of the clients who came by, I would always, try to take them, show them around, show them what Montserrat is like. And several times they would ask, how much is it? And I said, no, I'm doing it for free. As part of the Grandview Bed and Breakfast experience. And then afterwards, it dawned on me and I said, there's so many people are asking how much. Let me start charging. So initially, I wasn't charging enough. And that's one of the things that, as Doc was saying, you find out these things in the sense of proper accounting, etc., that you have to do your costing properly. And then afterwards, over time, you develop, better abilities in the industry. And so I started doing tours. And even sometimes in terms of learning business, that there were several times after I issued new fees, some persons would say, no, I'm not doing that tour. And I said, well, okay, I'll take you for whatever. I'll do it for free. And I'll tell you, most times they ended up paying me more than what I was planning to charge them. And so it's because of the product delivery. And that came from several different other lifelong paths. I was involved in aviation for, as I said before in the bio, 20-something years. And that gave me a lot of exposure, even sometimes in traveling to different countries and seeing their tourism products. And that made me realize that really, these are the countries who are having millions of tourists. They really don't have too many better products than we do. Some have the sun, the sand, and those other things, but we have it too. And we have a unique sand. We have black sand. And so it's about selling what we have. And I realized that we have lots of wonderful products on Montserrat. And so it became actually like a mandate, my pleasure, so that when people came on island, I was sometimes, I would basically forget the money experience. I wanted to show them Montserrat. I wanted to let them have a unique experience. It's like going through the hills and valleys. Sometimes I would plan before and see where there's some mango trees, and I would, during the tour, drive by and say, I wonder if there are any mangoes here, So you can go there and pick fresh food and give them. Sometimes I even pass by my own garden and say, oh, I think there's a cashew tree over here, because most people don't know that cashew has a fruit. We here in Montserrat, we take those things for granted, but lots of people overseas don't know that the cashew has a fruit that is edible. So it's about giving that type of experience and wanting to be a different tour operator than everyone else. Because you can charge a premium price if you're delivering a premium product. And so that's what I did and got involved more and more to the extent afterwards, from my background in management training, we started assisting the tourism division in actually doing tour guide training. And so the point I'm trying to make here for the young ones is that don't let anything restrict your growth. The world is out there. Attack any area because you never know where you're going to be using those skills. For instance, we did courses like in basketry, ceramics, I did meteorology. So what do? During a tour, I speak about the clouds, tell them, oh, there's some rolling cumulonimbus there, and I mean, it has that anvil, and even in terms of telling them the center hills gets most rainfall because of the orientation of the hills, and it's going to give you orographic rainfall. You sound knowledgeable because based on the background and the things you know about, you present that. And so that's why I'm saying that here, you as young ones, do not put down any opportunity to learn, any area, because at some point in life, you can always bring it back and utilize it in some way or the other. And as the mantra says, tourism is anybody's business. So there's so many wide-ranging fields within the tourism sector that you can get involved in. The world is out there, the opportunities are yours. You're just the one who has to do the work and get going and be a part of the whole tourism industry, which I must say is a wonderful, wonderful industry with many opportunities. Thank you.
Well, thank you to our panelists. And you would have now had a variety of experiences. We have 5 more to come. But before I close the session, do we have any burning questions? We're running a little bit behind time. So I'll take 1 or 2 questions. Question? No? Oh.
I was saying I just wanted to, the others from hearing them, they do the marketing. I've heard all them talk about marketing. Kurt, you seem to be doing a hobby. Is that a hobby or is it a product for? Business itself. So how do you market?
Right. Right, because that's also an interesting thing, because I would hope the students would have noticed that some of the persons have additional jobs and some that is their main job. So that point is very important in terms of, well, how then do you market yourself and what you offer? Some of it's very obvious. Like, for example, obviously, yes, but especially for Kurt, yes.
Well, as I said, my business started out as a hobby, and I made it an official business in 2013. But I began marketing via various methods. I utilize social media mainly. I've also done a number of interviews which have been posted in Aliogana Express and a few other pages, the Yellow Pages website, and a few others. So actually, if you type my name on the internet, you would actually see my name pop up under a large amount of things there. And you would actually see the products that I've been doing over the years, etc., stuff like those. So the technology is advancing. So the better you use the technology, you would get a lot more stuff done from it itself.
Scribo? Yes.
Yes, as I sat there, I just looked down there and I saw one of my young tour guides, which I want him to just stand, which is Lottis Martin, and I just want you to recognize Lottis. Yeah? And Lottis has been around, well, he's my godson, and Lottis has been around us from a very tender age as well, because that's Lloydie's son, so he actually like a forest ranger. He's a tour guide. Lottis is being able to conduct tours on Scriber's Adventure Tours, and at the present moment, I'm looking forward for Lottis to conduct his own tours, especially in whether it's birding, petroglyphs, hiking, or whatever. He has that knowledge, and I'm very much pleased of you, Lottis, and just keep going at that. Yes.
Very good, thank you. And we have a question at the back there. Young lady at the back, college student at the back.
Morning. My question is, if you're an individual, especially young people, living in Montserrat and has a great business idea that would benefit tourism, where and how would one be able to get investments, both local and regional?
That's an excellent question. And I think that, yeah, the Premier is right here. And also, and also the PS who has responsibility for tourism and the investment. And so, Premier, are you going to remain for the rest of the session? Okay, well, you want to give a little response now?
I could answer one.
One, yes.
When Alveston House started, before I went away to school, it was started by my mom and Carol Osborne. And they put together a business plan and they received a tourism grant from the tourism division. So, sorry? Yes, it was a tourism challenge fund. So they had to put together their business plan and you would have to say exactly how you were going to spend the money and how much money you needed. At the time, I think there was a limit of what they were giving, but you had to dictate everything that would be spent and what it would be spent on. So Alveston House did start off with a bit of help from the Tourism Grant Fund, which we were very appreciative of. I know that there are a lot of grants out there and there's a lot of opportunities for investment. It's just a matter of knowing the means of where to go and where to look and having a good business plan and strategy put together.
I'll add to it, Mr. Premier. So I'll keep it like in simple terms, right? So you get it. And so two things when you're looking for money. You think about, are you going to get it from yourself or are you going to get it from someone else, right? If you're going to get it from yourself, that means that whatever else activities that you do, you've got to save the money to help do what you want. So that's one way, right? The other way, where you want to use other people's money. So, and this is what Sarah was talking about. Like, if you're putting together a business plan, then you're going to go to someone with a proposal to say, hey, this is my plan. Will you put your money into this because you're going to get something in return? And so that could happen in two forms. You can happen in terms of kind of an equity form, meaning that they're going to have ownership in whatever you do. So everything that you sell, so if you sell something for $1, you're going to give them 20 cents of every dollar that you make, right? That might be very enticing because if you're making, $1 million and they're getting 20 cents for every dollar, that means, hey, they're making, $200,000. So that might entice someone who want to invest in you from an equity standpoint. But then there's others who might want to invest in you from a lending standpoint, like a loan. And so that you might want to think about going to like a bank. And you could go to the bank and say, hey, this is my proposal. And in fact, if you have even tested it on a small scale, and you are making money on a small scale, you could demonstrate that, hey, if they put money behind you, you can scale up that business. You could make it on a much bigger scale, make a lot more money, and you can pay off their loan within the time and within the parameters that they give you, like whatever interest and all that kind of stuff. So you're going to end up getting money either through yourself or you're getting from others, and you can get it from an equity standpoint investment, which you're giving them a portion of the business or portion of whatever money you make, or you're giving them in terms of a loan where you're just going to pay a set payment for a certain period of time to pay that back. And whatever you make in the business, then you keep. So you have to decide to, as a business owner or whatever business that you're going to take to market, what strategy that you want to pursue that's going to have the best financial outcome for you at the end of the day. Whether that's you're using your own money or using other people's money. Does that help?
I agree wholeheartedly that the first thing you have to do is the business plan. And come down. Because if you come in to borrow my money, I need to see how you're going to make the money back. And in that business plan, it's your balance sheet, your income expenditure, to see how much you're going to spend. So that is critical. But I have a concern, I have a problem with lending institutions when it comes to young people. They ask for collaterals that you don't have because you just live in school. So how do you get financing? And that is why government sometimes put up some funds to assist, but not to give away. And I don't believe in giving away money. I believe in you come in and say, this is my plan, this is how I plan to manage the system, show me how you're going to do your returns on investment, and we work with you. So at the moment, just about a month, less than a year ago, government identified some funds, and we were focusing on young people, with new ideas, new innovations. And once you came through and you have your business plan, you have ideas, the Ministry of Finance will work along with you to fine-tune your ideas, and then you can move forward. I think the grant element of that is completed. We still have a small loan element of it, which is about 3.5%, but we're not giving you. Come with the idea, talk to the people in charge. My peers is here, and the trade department. They will talk to you and see if what you say makes sense, and of course, they will sign up for you to get a loan. But again, it's a loan. You have to repay it. And I believe, though, that government has to make a way, has to create an environment for school leavers to be able to assess, to source some kind of funding. Because the bank's not going to lend you because you have no lab collateral. So it is government who have to do it. And we're willing to do that for you if you come with some good ideas.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Premier. So we're going to change around the panel now. We'll give you an opportunity after to contribute. So thank you very much to our first 5 panelists. Yes. And we will switch around for the panelists. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Thank you, Premier. Panelists, and I will start the introductions of the panelists. Ms. Gracelyn Castle has a BA in Library Studies, UWI, and a Master's in Archives, University of London, and MSc Computer Assisted Management Information Systems, UWI. She has worked in the Montserrat Public Library from 1982 to 1997, and in the main library at the University of the West Indies, Mona, Jamaica, from 1997 to 2005. In August 2005, she returned to Montserrat to take up the post of resident tutor and head of the University of the West Indies School of Continuing Studies, now the UWI Open Campus Montserrat. She's currently enrolled in a doctoral program in cultural heritage with the University of Birmingham in the United Kingdom. Gracelyn is the owner of Frangipangi Vacation Rentals in Gros Michel Woodlands. Ms. Nerissa Golden is an author, media, and business strategist who enjoys inspiring Caribbean entrepreneurs to build brands that last. As CEO of Golden Media, she helps clients connect with their ideal audience by creating compelling stories and leveraging traditional and digital media platforms. Through Golden Media, Nerissa has built recognizable brands including Discover Montserrat, Discover Picnics, and Emerald Vibes TV. When not enjoying a good book, she lends her support to charities such as the Montserrat Association of Persons with Disabilities and the Pink Ribbon Charity. Nerissa is currently planning the 2022 edition of the Aliogana Festival of the World. Mrs. Clover Lee first arrived in Montserrat 42 years ago in 1980 with her husband David and their baby Sonny. They fell in love with this island and the people here right away, and so they stayed. Together, they have raised their family and now even have grandchildren living here. Clover is a writer, singer, musician, artist, Christian counselor, innkeeper, gardener, teacher, practitioner of natural health, and an artisan entrepreneur. Never been one to keep a good thing to herself, sharing the unique beauty and history of Montserrat, as well as the blessings and beauty of their property and guest lodgings at Gingerbread Hill has come naturally to her. Clover's new art studio is at Gingerbread Hill, and some of her paintings are on display at the Hilltop Coffee House, which is also a very interesting place for visitors and locals alike. It is a bit of a museum and gallery loaded with history and stories. Clover specializes in portraiture, island scenes, and what she calls dreamscapes. She'll have a grand opening of her studio gallery in January 2023. Vince Roy Riley has been doing ceramics since 2016. He was introduced to this field back in 2003 through the Department of Community Services by Mr. Eugene Skerritt. He attended a pottery ceramic workshop for several weeks where he learned the basics of pottery ceramic making and has been improving his skill set over the years. He got the opportunity to start his ceramic business, Emerald Isle Ceramics, in 2016, and he has never looked back. He continues to improve his craft, which has become an integral part of the tourism industry here on Montserrat. Ms. Veneer Bass is a highly motivated and innovative entrepreneur and talk show host. She is the CEO of the boutique marketing firm Bass Consultancy Services, and she's also recognized locally and regionally for working tirelessly to raise the profile of Montserrat and the Caribbean. Veneer earned a bachelor's degree in business and business law from the London Metropolitan University, and over the years, she has also developed her expertise in digital marketing. She was recently hired to manage the marketing campaign for Montserrat's remote worker program, and her work also extends to project management, strategic management, policy planning and implementation, culture, heritage, the arts, and tourism. Through her organization, Bass Consultant Services, Veneer is also responsible for developing and executing the Montserrat National Trust day-to-day marketing and outreach activities, as well as executing its long-term marketing and stakeholder engagement strategy. You can find Veneer on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook, or get in touch at basconsultantservices@gmail.com. Ladies and gentlemen, students, our panelists for this morning, Ms. Castle, Miss, yeah? The thing from there? Okay, all right. We start off with Ms. Castle.
Morning all. I'd like to thank the Tourism Division for inviting me to participate in this forum, because it helped me to realize something. I've been involved in the business from childhood. As Norman said, because of our father. Obviously, he was somebody who was before his time, because he believed that tourism was everybody's business. Now, from day to day, when we were children, from day to day, we would never know who would be at our dinner table. Daddy would see somebody wandering around town and ask, "Are you visiting?" And if the person said yes, he'd bring them and say, you know, "Come and have a meal." Once he met a Frenchman and invited him home. This was in the morning, and asked, "What would you like for breakfast?" And he said, "French toast." And we said, "Well, we don't know how to make French toast." So he proceeded to show us how to make French toast. And after that, we were making French toast for like practically every morning. And I'm talking about at the age of 6. I would have been like 6 or so. We were busy making French toast. Now, what has made me realize is that our love for languages, because in our family, we all speak a second language. The interest in home hospitality, that came across to me. Could you move the slide, whoever is doing the slide for me? Thank you. So your interaction with the visitors, the importance of food for the industry, the importance of language skills, and importance of knowing your country. One of the things that Daddy did, we didn't have a car, but Daddy had friends who owned cars. So on the weekends, we would drive around the country, and he would be telling us, you know, the history and background to the particular area. So no wonder Norman ended up being a tour guide. It was a household with 6 children, and it meant that Daddy needed to have several income streams to be able to feed us. And one of the things he did was to make preserves. Castle's hot sauce was considered quite a good product. In fact, like maybe 10 years ago, somebody asked me, "Are we still making it?" Joseph knows, my brother Joseph knows how to do it, but there's a problem with getting peppers. So as you're listening, you're seeing the integratedness of various sectors and the importance for tourism. So the agricultural sector is important for tourism as well. Next slide, please. Now, what are the potential careers that you heard highlighted there? Somebody who loves languages can be a translator. Anybody who's interested, we saw how Sarah's love of cooking, you know, is being used today at Alveston House. And in fact, she made a birthday cake for me with a passion fruit topping. It was fantastic. I recommend it. Again, the knowledge of your country, the country's history and culture as a tour guide. I remember when I was in a church group, we decided to have a fundraising event, and I spent weeks and weeks going to the library and doing research on Montserrat's history so that we could do a tour with visitors. And I remember one man having such a good time, he laughed so much that his false teeth flew out of his mouth. Art and craft skills are important for producing souvenir items, and we heard about Kirk's activities. Graphic art skills are important. We need documents. Like my father used to have labels done. These would run off on these, what do you call those things? The typesetting thing, and then you and you put some ink and run it off. Old technology. Just Stetner, that was it. Interest in research and writing. So those of you who like literature and like to write, there's a role for you to play as well. You need information for this sector. In fact, one of the things that has happened because of my involvement in the sector is that I've actually had publications on various aspects of tourism in Montserrat. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay, right. You heard about Nerissa working on this year's Aliogana Festival of the World. In 2009, just like how government provided funding through the Tourism Challenge Fund for our Western House to start, there were other activities. Fly Montserrat, for example, got a grant that got them started. We got a grant for the Aliogana Festival of the World. And we told them that we would be able to attract visitors, increase visitor expenditure, and provide a good experience with the literary festival. Next slide. I don't know if you're going to be able to see. Oh, not good. Next slide. These sectors that were important for the delivery of the festival included the travel, because we had authors come in. Can't quite remember the number now, but several people. I think we had 36 people who traveled to Montserrat because of the literary festival that year. We had to house them, so Tropical Mansion Suites and various other places provided accommodation. They made use of taxis, they went on tours, they went to restaurants, they bought stuff. And in fact, that was an interesting experience because we had vendors who came to the site. Next slide. We had vendors who came to the site and provided their services. So Tina's Restaurant and Jackson's, they were actually on site. And I remember the visitors actually enjoying the food. You had Lime Flow, which was Lime then, selling up top-up and SIM cards. Love's Cotton Store, they had fantastic sales with their products. Africana Fashions, batik and other clothes, wall hangings, they did well as well because they had unique items. We had a stall from the prison. And you could just run through and see the various things. Have you gone ahead of me? Go back a bit, please. Okay, so, oh, sorry, I jumped. Now, direct involvement for me. I attended a workshop organized by the Tourist Board. It was called Marketing of Small Accommodation Spaces. I went not because I wanted to get involved in the business. I was more interested in learning about the opportunities for training programs that, you know, I work with the University of the West Indies. And one of the things that we do is actually deal with training. And I turned up, and Rosetta et al. Insisted that I had to participate. I had to come up with a marketing plan. And many of you would have heard of Shirley Spikala. She had Arundel Villa and guest house. Her house is located like 2 houses above me. And over the years, she'd been asking me, Grace, I want to be able to send my overflow down to you. And I kept saying, I'm too busy, I can't be bothered with tourists complaining about things that need fixing and so on. Anyway, once they told me that I had to develop my marketing plan I said, okay, let me work on this. And that exercise was useful because they said you have to find a name for the place. My mother and my aunt were living with me, and we were all over 50. So the first name I came up with was Senior Stays. And they said, nobody's going to come visit you with a name like that. So I looked around the property, and I noticed that I had quite a number of frangipani trees. And that's where I got the idea from for Frangipani Guest Studio. And I realized that I had some pluses. In terms of the location, I was close to the main road and transportation, close to the Montserrat National Trust and now the Botanical Garden. I'm within easy walk of several hiking trails, And Woodlands Beach is just down the road, it's a 10-minute walk down. And sometimes I would go down and pick up my guests if they don't want to walk back up. Next. Okay, that's the location. You can see the blue ball. That's my house. And the house with the pool above, that's Arundel Villa. And she always said to me, look, if you have guests and they want to have access to a pool, just send them up. You know, so that kind of collaboration is possible. I really appreciated that. Okay, next slide. That's my home. Go on. And you see the frangipani tree, and then down the bottom, that's the apartment, the studio. Next slide. Just an idea of, it has its own parking. That was another plus. I actually did that because of my mother, needing to be able to walk on concreted areas rather than on the lawn. But it worked out well. So that's the space. Next slide, please. Next slide. That's it? Okay, something went wrong there. Anyway. Okay, so they mounted the wrong one. Yeah, never mind. But very quickly, new developments at the property. Many of you would have heard in 2021 that I was one of the backyard, prize-winning backyard gardeners. Did you hear? And I will use that to develop a new product. I'm doing tours and tea. You can select some sort of plant, medicinal plant from the garden, and we sit and have tea afterwards. I actually started off with a number of seniors, and they would say things like, this is really a lift after the COVID and being locked away at home and so on. And people were offering to pay. I think our family must be very stupid. You heard Norman saying that he was offering his tours for free. I'm doing my tour and tea for free. But I'm actually learning at the same time, because I plan to develop it for when I retire. That would be a product that I will be offering. I mean, it's still on. I've done like 10 for the year already. And each time I'm learning from the people who do the tour, and I have something new to tell them. One of the interesting things was showing them loofah. Everybody thought that loofah was either from the sea, but it's one of those gourd plants, similar to the cucumber, and I'm actually trying to promote its growth in Montserrat and use, because it's a potential new manufacturing industry for Montserrat.
Yep.
Time? Okay. Now, sustainability. I'm glad that the Honorable Minister for ICT is here, because I want to remind him that family history is an important thing for people in Montserrat and would attract visitors. And we need to have easy access to information on our birth, death, marriage records. The database is there. It just needs an interface. And I'm hoping, I've been working at this, trying to remind people that the interface needs to be done. I've been working at this for more than 10 years, trying to get that interface done so that people would have access to family history. The other thing is, Scriber talked about the bird sounds. That's another product that we can use. If we can get it on a chip, it can be embedded into clocks and other products. We have all sorts of unique things that we can do to sustain the industry. For example, if we get geothermal off the ground as well, it'll provide, hopefully, cheap source of freezing for seasonal plants, seasonal fruits and vegetables. So breadfruit we can have all year round to make the breadfruit chips and whatever. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Castle. We now move on to Ms. Golden, Nerissa.
Thank you. Good day, everyone. Is the young lady who asked the question earlier still in the room?
Jesume, yes, she's there.
All right,
at the back.
hi. I'm definitely a proponent of one of the options that Gary presented, which is use your own money. Because the truth of the matter is, just culturally, we don't take chances on people we don't know. So it's always going to be the best bet that you try it first, you test it, You get good evidence to prove that there's a market for what you do. And once you have some numbers and good data, then you can go to the bank. Then you can go and apply to the government through whatever other programs they have. But you can't just show up with an idea with no evidence that it's going to work. So it's really important that you test it yourself. Now, this is an important thing about the opportunities that are available in Montserrat's tourism market, is that it is wide open. Yes, you've met quite a few people who are already established in the industry, but the thing that you have going for you that they don't is that you guys can close your eyes and manage social media, and you can also navigate like 10 different things in your head at one time, where right now we just need to focus on one, otherwise we get confused. That is an advantage you have that you can use to create something very unique, that's very different, that people who you know or who you may not know, but could be somebody across the world that's never heard of Montserrat that would be interested in what you want to do. Now, for me, I definitely agree with the statement that, that tourism is everybody's business. I'm a preacher's kid, and I remember even as a child, my sisters and I sang. I was always very creative, and so I would write plays, and I would put together the whole production, and we would take them to neighboring islands. So we were an import for other places. But then we also used to plan these massive gospel concerts, and we would bring in groups from hundreds of young people and stuff from different islands. So it doesn't mean that you have to have a particular interest in a particular thing. Maybe your thing is animals. Maybe you love fashion. Maybe you create jewelry. You can actually create a tourism product or offer around the thing that you are uniquely interested in. One of the things a couple of years ago when we went to Guadeloupe on the ferry, I missed the ferry, just to throw that out there. It wasn't a tour, but one of the things I noticed was across the island, they had all these paintings, just graphic arts across the island as we would ride. And I thought, how cool it would be. And I remember downtown near the library, that whole space, they just had iconic Caribbean leaders, whether it was, they weren't all from Guadeloupe or French islands, but they were all iconic Caribbean leaders that they featured on their walls, and it was beautiful. Over the last few years, there's been this group of artists in St. Martin who have literally commandeered every single wall, and they have used walls in some of the toughest neighborhoods in St. Martin, and they have turned them into these massive wall arts. And now there are other companies that literally offer tours to go in just to experience that. So if you're a graphics artist, you can actually create a tour product that features your work. And you notice we have a few walls. Our walls aren't very high here. But imagine taking what somebody else has done and leveraging it and creating something else. You may not have a property, but Gary has a property. So there's no reason you couldn't collaborate and say, hi, Gary, I have this idea of how to bring 40 young people who want to volunteer and give us a good deal, a good price to come in, and then you sell that. I have sold events. One of the reasons I love media so much is that all I need is an idea and access, and I can get you to buy it. I have raised thousands and thousands of dollars on just ideas, just by saying, hey, there's this event I'm doing in a year. You buy your ticket now. Here's your price, whatever, whatever. And it's sold out, and the event hasn't even happened yet. So no, you don't need money up front to do things. If you've got a telephone, a mobile phone, if you've got access to internet, there's enough places on Montserrat where there's free internet for you to use, okay? So you don't even have to have a data plan. You can go to the library and use their free internet, and you can run a business here even if you can't afford to top up on your phone, right? You literally have no excuse not to take that phone that you have and create a story and sell us on what it is you love about Montserrat. Let me just say to you, all of you are marketing Montserrat. You're either marketing it negatively or positively. Every time you turn on your phone, every time you post something on WhatsApp or TikTok or Snapchat, when you say there's nothing to do here, and your friends believe you, you are marketing Montserrat. Now, this week, we have created an opportunity for you to experience more than 10 different things that you can do on Montserrat, and I hope you guys have signed up for at least one. So you can either go snorkeling if you've never been comfortable sticking your head under the water. You can learn how to do that this week so you can see what's under there. You want to learn to go kayaking. You want to go sunset boat fishing. You've never been on a scribe. Who's never been on a scriber tour? Everybody here has been on a tour with Scriber? I love that. Okay, how many of you know how to make cassava? Yeah, how to make cassava bread. So you can learn that this week. Why we want to do that is because we want you to be able to tell somebody about the things that is available to do on Montserrat. So that you just don't say there's nothing to do here, that you know at least 4 or 5 things that people can enjoy, no matter, even if we're not the party capital of the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Marissa. We go now to Clover. Yeah?
I'm next?
Yes.
Okay. Well, greetings. It's great to be here with you guys. I so agree with Narissa that we are all advertising Montserrat, whether it is positively or negatively, because the words that we speak are seeds that we plant. And so it's really important if we want this country to grow and if we want it to be appreciated by visitors, that the words that we speak and the things that we do are positive things. If you're not sure if you really want to develop any kind of career in tourism or not, I think what I would say is that I know that every single one of you has a desire in your heart. There's a desire in your heart. And I know firsthand from my experience that if you delight yourself in the Lord, He will give you the desires of your heart. If you seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, these things will be added unto you. When we first came to Montserrat, it was just me and David and little baby Sonny. And we came from Key West, a little island off of 90 miles north of Cuba, the southernmost point in Florida. And it's a very tiny island, 1 by 3 miles, and the highest elevation there is 30 feet above sea level. And it was getting very small. And we had to import water, and we had to import local organic produce, and it was getting less wholesome. It was a beautiful place to live in the 70s, but we watched it change. The jets began to land there, and it became cityfied, and it became the kind of a place we didn't want to raise our families. So we started casting about for what we called a real island. And in our minds, a real island was a place where that hadn't sold out as a cookie-cutter touristic place. And Montserrat fit the bill perfectly. With the first night we spent here, we spent at the Coconut Hill. And that was on Town Hill, overlooking town. We used to have a town, you guys, those of you who don't remember Plymouth. We used to have a beautiful old colonial town. And we just fell in love with the place. And the reason we fell in love with Montserrat, and if I leave anything with you, I would hope that the thing you'd remember would be this. The reason we fell in love with Montserrat 42 years ago was the people who welcomed us in, who took us, put their arms around our shoulders and said, oh, this is how you do this. And it was the older people. It was the older people, because we were the kids back then. And it was older Montserratians who just were so kind and loving to us and so respectful. I could even cry talking about it because we felt so welcome. And that is such an important part of the character of Montserrat and what Montserrat is. And that is what I just pray continues on through the generations, because, we've lost so many. And because through evacuations and through the passage of time and welcoming people in, just living your lives out loud and joyfully that's the thing that attracted us to Montserrat. And our idea when we first came here was we thought we had no idea how we were going to do it. We didn't have really any means. But what we wanted to do was open a place that we thought we'd call heaven on earth. And that was the dream. But the dream kind of, the cares of the world, I think I should say, choked out the dream, and it got put on the back burner, and it went from the back burner into the deep freeze. And we got shanghaied in the United States for 2 years, and then we ended coming back with a new vision. But still, it wasn't that. This came about in the God is so creative in his ways of giving us the desires of our heart. There is no end to the resourcefulness of our Creator. And he's put creativity in every single one of us, in a unique kind of creativity. And that's what I would encourage you to like check out. You know, what is your unique creativity? But when the volcano woke up and the hotels were in the exclusion zone, government was asking for people who might have a spare bedroom where they could put up reporters and scientists, who are mainly all who were coming to Montserrat during the early volcano years. We had scientists because we needed them, and reporters who wanted to spread the news about it, which was a lot of it sensationalized. But it was incredible education for my family and our kids, because they got to hear these firsthand reports from reporters all over the world who'd been in incredible situations. And anyway, we opened up we had a guest room, and that was our first bed and breakfast room. And we just proceeded to develop, as we could afford to, just one step at a time. Just each little next step we did, and then as it paid for itself and made a little more money, we did the next step. That's the way we went about it. And it's worked for us. And I think the beauty of Montserrat is that, you know, we are such a small place that anything is possible. I really do think the sky's the limit. I really do think that Montserrat could be off the grid. I really do think it could be a green island. I think it could be a workshop where people could come and learn all about how to do that thing. But there is such an opportunity to create niche marketing and to create, you know, our place, Gingerbread Hill, is it's not a hotel, it's not a bed and breakfast, it's not really, I guess it's closest to a guest house, but each of the places is private, yet we're on the property if people need us. So it's sort of like maybe an apartmentel. Each of the places is self-catering, but it's just evolved bit by bit as we could afford to do it, so we didn't go hugely into debt. And we're really grateful that we came here kind of as kids, and that we're still here, and that the desire that we had in our heart has come to fruition. And we're just blessed that it's happened here. Thanks.
Thank you, Clover. Yes. We go to Vince Roy now.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vince Riley. I'm the owner of Emerald Isle Ceramics. I would like to say, firstly, as a young person who's in school, you may not know exactly what you want to do when you leave school, right? So there are lots of choices, but mainly the most important choice is to always follow your brain and your heart, right? Always follow your heart and your brain. So growing up as a youth, I was never really artistic per se. I was never really an artist or someone that loves art and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I was introduced to art by my best friend. He's in England now. So that was like many years ago, around when I was like grade 2, grade 3. And basically from there, just by watching him drawing shoes and stuff like that, got my attention. So there's where the creative juices started to flow in me. So I basically used that inspiration at that time to fuel myself. You know what I mean? So over the years, I got better and better and better, so developed into an artist. Then after leaving school, right, I was basically around looking for jobs in the private sector and the government. Nothing was really going on at the time. And I was approached by Mr. Eugene Skerritt, and he was telling me about this pottery workshop thing, and I should apply and give it a shot. So I did. So basically, when I went to the course, it was like already in the first week. So I came there late. So the teachers told me, basically just look on, see what is going on, watch, learn, and stuff like that. So basically, after the first week passed, the second week, I started to get my hands busy in clay. You know what I mean? So after doing that, I found that it was something that I loved. You know what I mean? So I basically took in all the information that the two master potters came and taught us. And then after they went back to their respective countries, the government of Montserrat continued the program for a little while. Then it was suspended, or should I say ceased to exist after a few years. So basically by that time I was working for Ketec Limited. So I was learning to be an engineer and a surveyor. So basically I'm in that field right now currently for 19 years now. And back in 2014, 2015, I got the opportunity to apply for one of the same tourism grant challenge funds things. So I did that, gotten through. Then about a year after that, I got the opportunity to get one of the industrial buildings down in the Braids area. So basically, that was where I started Emerald Isle Ceramics in the year 2016. And what I do is basically I make souvenirs, household products such as plates, mugs, fridge magnets, flower pots, coal pots, just anything that's made out of ceramic, basically. You know what I mean? So after being involved in starting my own business, I started to being approached by several entities around Montserrat in terms of like they wanted me to come and teach summer school, partnership in charity work in terms of like building flower pots to put in horrible bushes and stuff like that for the elderly people in Magazine Memorial Home and so forth and so forth. So basically, my business has brought me into the spotlight on a higher level in Montserrat where I'm able to put my talents to use and be a benefactor for the people of Montserrat and also the people who are overseas. Being, through my business, people from overseas who are coming to Montserrat, many of them will say, okay, all right, I've never done pottery before. I've seen it. I would like to experience it. So in coming to Montserrat and getting a pottery course on me, then they themselves know when they go back overseas, they tell their friends and stuff like that. So word spreads. So in actuality, you might find yourself gaining thousands of customers from overseas that you don't even know about, haven't spoken to, just because of a few people that you have taught who have come in from overseas, right? So in that aspect, it's beneficial to the tourism sector here in Montserrat because people overseas are being introduced to Montserrat on a different level. It's not really saying, okay, all right, I'm going on a vacation to Montserrat, or I'm going to the beach, or I'm going on a hike with Scriber, or stuff like that. They could also get hands-on ceramic training and stuff like that if they wanted to. You know what I mean? So basically, my business has granted me the opportunity to experience different sides of the country, experience international life, and basically put Montserrat on the map, per se, in a different way. So to you young people, don't give up on your dreams. You might not end up working in government. You might not be in private sector in certain aspects. But if you have an idea, if you have the means, the dedication, the commitment, you can start your own business and be successful. You know what I mean? And in that way, you'd also be expanding on the how to put it, you'd also be expanding on the market value of Montserrat, per se. Because you may never know. The business that you might be doing might put Montserrat on the map even more. You understand? And then you yourself now is going to be in the opportunity and ways to get into many other different sectors in the island. You know what I mean? So for me personally, I've been able to attend business workshops, training workshops and stuff like that in different fields like business management, marketing, and so forth, just through this one business that I'm in, Emerald Ceramics. So basically, the sky is the limit. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Basically, the sky is the limit. So never give up on what you want to do. Even if it's an idea that you already see happening right now in Montserrat, you could take that idea, expand on it, and make it into your own idea, own product, and market it in such a way that it benefits everyone, yourself, the people in Montserrat, and people overseas. Because you're not really doing it for yourself, you're doing it for everyone, basically. So that's me in a nutshell. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vincent. Okay. No.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for having me. Today, I'm here in the capacity of Outreach Officer for the Montserrat National Trust. So, to start the presentation, I'm going to focus on the business that pays me, and then I'll go into a little bit about myself. Right, so, the Montserrat National Trust is where you are, so thank you very much to Montserrat Tourism Division for promoting us today and also for using our site. The Montserrat National Trust was established by statute in 1970, so we're now 52 years old. Won't spend too much time going into that, but next slide, please. So the objectives of the trust are to conserve and enhance the beauty of Montserrat, which is why we spend so much time focusing on elements of agriculture, biodiversity, etc. If you're interested, we have an online biodiversity survey that we're currently promoting, so please definitely go and check that out on our website. And we're also responsible for preserving and rehabilitating all of our historical sites. So that includes things like the sugar mill in Lookout, etc. We also preserve the flora and fauna of the island, which is why we have our botanical gardens here, and we're very focused on identifying all of the endemic species that are on the island. The other thing that we're aware to do, we make the public aware of the value and beauty of our island's heritage, to pursue policy and preservation and act in an advisory capacity. We also attract funds by means of subscriptions, donations, etc. And our role is also to compile a photographic and architectural record of everything above. Next slide, please. So with regards to our tourism products and services here at the Montserrat National Trust, we provide quite a few services. So venue hire is one of our main services that we provide here at the Trust, and you're currently one of our venue spaces, which is our conference room. For those of you who may not be aware, the Montserrat National Trust is also responsible for managing the Woodlands Beach and the Woodlands Beach facility. So if you're interested in hiring that belongs to us. You'd have to come here and hire out the site. And of course, we have our garden, our botanical garden, which is just outside, so you can take a look at that, or you can purchase a garden tour for only $10 or $20. Don't quote me on that one. The Montserrat National Trust is also responsible for the Montserrat National Museum, which is located in Little Bay. And we're also responsible for carrying out hiking tours locally as well. So if you're interested in any of those products, you can reach out to us. One of the things that we're also proud of here at the National Trust is that we're responsible for managing all of the archives and the history of the island. So therefore, we have all of the documentation going back as far as the 1700s about Montserrat. So if you're ever interested in learning more about your family history or your ancestry, you can come to the National Trust, and for a small fee, you can research your family history and your lineage. The other thing that we do here at the Montserrat National Trust is we're the curators of our history and our culture. And the other thing we focus on is agriculture and environmental research. So we work quite closely with the Department of Environment here, and we carry out a lot of work with international professionals and doctors and scientists to make sure that we're looking after the island. The other thing that we have, which is just outside, so if you have some spare money in your pockets, you can go outside into the Oriole gift shop. In the Oriole gift shop, we have Montserrat souvenirs. So back to someone like Emerald Isle Ceramics and also Clover, who produce stuff, you can sell them in the Montserrat National Trust Oriole gift shop as well. We also have Montserrat literature in there. We also feature local artists like Miss Narissa Golden, who sat here. And we also sell agro-processed goods. So for those persons who are producing things like essential oils or locally produced goods, you can sell them in the Montserrat National Trust as well. The next slide, please. So a little bit about me. I'm not going to spend too much time reading what's on the screen just because she's already done so. But one of the things that I wanted to touch on was how I ended up in Montserrat, because a lot of people don't know that story. And it was a point in March 2019. I was having a conversation with my mum, and honestly, I'd reached a crossroads in my life. I didn't really know if I wanted to stay in England. So my mum was like, why not just go back to Montserrat? So ironically, that same Saturday, my mum sent me the job at the Montserrat Arts Council because my previous role was the head of planning and production at the Arts Council. The Saturday she sent me the job, the Monday my ticket was booked, the following month I was in Montserrat. And it's as simple as that. And the reason why I was able to do that was because of where I am in my life. I was a single person, I didn't have any kids, and also I'd already established myself professionally, and I wanted to come back and make a positive contribution for the island. So I had about a month in England before I actually made the move back, which was on the 2nd of May, 2019. So I'm coming up to my 4th year soon. And one of the things that I did in that month is that I became obsessed with Montserrat. And I think that's where my obsession started, and it still continues. I spent that whole month researching everything to the point where I wanted to make a film about air studios, and that's how I bumped into Clover. No, not Clover. The current, I can't remember her name now, but she produced the Under the Volcano film. So that's how we became Cody. See, it was a C. So I was researching everything about Montserrat, and then I started posting things about our history on Facebook. And then I started going crazy researching the history of every single thing on Montserrat, and I started sharing it. And then it made me realize that there was actually a problem that wasn't being solved. The diaspora was hungry for information, but they weren't receiving it. And that's what gave rise to 664 Connect. So 664 Connect was an idea I had before I even left the UK. And then I started 664 Connect in February 2020. So that, in a nutshell, is why I'm so vested in being here on the island. Lots of people reach out to me and they say, why are you here? Why did you come back? And I've realized that on Ireland we have brain drain. And it's sad to say that most of you listening to this conversation right now are probably planning to leave the island. But one of the things that I'll highlight to you is when I was in England, I started doing digital marketing because initially I started off as a business consultant, focused on project management, and essentially what my degree was around. And I wanted to get into digital marketing in the music industry. But when you're in England, you're a small fish in a big pond, right? So there's this urge to leave Montserrat and go. But I look at Montserrat differently to what you do. I see Montserrat as an opportunity. Because in Montserrat, I'm a big fish in a small pond. It's easy for everybody to know who I am. It's easy for me to promote 664 Connect because my audience is so much smaller, right? So that's something to consider. There's a multitude of opportunities here. Every single thing that you go overseas, when you go on your family vacations and you see, whether it's jet skiing, whether it's, local tours that seem more interesting than ours, that's an opportunity. That's an opportunity for you to get up and create that product here in Montserrat. A lot of the things that you see in other islands, and back to the question about investment, the first investment you should ever make is in yourself. Because when you invest in yourself, everything else will come. I don't go out looking for jobs, and I'm not bragging, but because of my passion, people see that, and they send work my way. So if you invest in yourself, you can invest in a mortgage on a property. That still belongs to the bank. If you invest in yourself, no one can take that away from you. So, next slide. So, speak a little bit about my role at MNT. And this is another point to make as well. I started 664 Connect with an idea. By being obsessed with it and constantly pushing and pushing, other people have seen my passion, which gave rise to the National Trust when I submit a proposal for them to be interested in taking me on as their outreach officer, right? So if you're passionate about things, that is where it starts. It never starts with money. Because if your mission is money, you're going to give up before you've even started. Because trust me, there are days as a consultant when I have no work. And it's not the money that's driving me. It has to be the passion, right? So some of my jobs here at the National Trust are to obviously do the main things, update the social media platforms, design and create graphics, to assist staff create and manage our outreach efforts, to write engaging content like press releases, to build our local network and our regional network, and to identify and research opportunities for funding. So that ties into what you asked as well. Sometimes you're gonna have to go out and apply for the funding, but you have to invest in yourself first, all right? Next slide, please. So some of the marketing tools that I use in my day-to-day work are obviously the National Trust website. I also use social media platforms to promote the Montserrat National Trust as much as possible. And again, we always start with money. There's a lot that you can do without money. To this day, I have never invested in a Facebook advert or anything like that for 664 Connect, but you're aware of it. So therefore, you should be able to promote your business or to start off your idea and pilot and test it using social media without thinking about money. Use your intellectual property, use your skills, and the money will come. Trust me. It sounds like it's far-fetched, but it works, right? The other thing that we do, we use Zoom web conferencing, we use QR codes, we use videos. And one of the things that I haven't really started using much here at the National Trust is SEO, which is search engine optimization, search engine marketing, or pay-per-click, because those are mostly when you're trying to reach out to an international audience. The marketing strategy has been very much locally focused right now, just because we're trying to get rid of the stigma that this organization is only about expatriates. Montserrat National Trust is an organization for all Montserratians, right? So that's one of the reasons why the focus has been first raising the profile of the trust with you, and then as a tourism product, we can take it out to the world, right? Next slide, please. We use also traditional marketing. So if you know there's two types, digital and traditional. So I write loads of press releases, I reach out to the local newspaper, do flyers and leaflets, do billboards and signs, and we also do infographics. One of the things that we're starting on the 4th of October is our Heritage Radio Show, which is a radio show that was established in the past, but we're bringing it back. Again, we want to raise the profile of the National Trust, and not so much just to target the older people, but really to target you, because I'm very conscious of the fact that young people like you are not passed into the trust as much as you need to, and we need you. We don't want you, we need you here at the trust, because you are the future of the trust, right? Next slide. So these are some examples of my work. And the reason why I wanted to highlight these examples is because every single flyer here was created on Canva. A lot of the things that I do for my business BAS consultancy are all in this mobile phone. So you have no excuse to be able to be innovative and creative as a young person. If you're in this mobile phone and you're playing games, get your act together, right? There's so much that you can learn in here, especially if you're in an industry like digital marketing. Personally, I wouldn't pursue a degree or a master's in digital marketing. And the reason why I wouldn't do that is because the world's moving too fast. By the time they print and publish that textbook on my course, everything in it's expired, right? When I left the UK, there was no TikTok, right? 3 years later, TikTok is a leading social media platform in the world. So it's not about just going to school and getting education. It's also about understanding that you have to invest in yourself. Go online. If there's something that you can't do, ask University of Google or YouTube. I build websites. I do graphic design. There's so many things that I do right now I might even explode. So therefore, there is no reason why you can't be here in Montserrat and reach your full potential too, right? Next slide. Okay, so one of the perks of my job, particularly here at the National Trust, and some of the times people like yourself don't see why you need to come to the National Trust to work. That's because you're thinking too small, right? The Montserrat National Trust, we have a variety of skills that we require here. We require photographers, we require videographers, we require people who are interested in marketing. Yes, we need the scientists, but we cover an array of roles as well. Not only do I gain transferable skills by working at the Trust, but every day I'm learning. I'm gaining all these skills because I'm surrounded by professionals. I get the opportunity to be exposed to a variety of products. The other day I was out chasing insects. And now I'm at home looking at every insect on the ground. Oh my goodness, is this endemic? So, you know, you have to really, unless you try something or even test it out, you never know if it's something that you enjoy. And the other thing as well, it exposes you to different industries. Again, the other day we had a film crew here from Australia. If you're doing work experience at the Trust, right, and you're interested in doing something in the media, you've now been exposed to a film crew. So it's up to you to use the opportunity to say to them, can I have your email? Can I, you know, come and get work experience and stuff like that for you? The other thing, like I mentioned, you're going to be working with loads of professionals from multiple disciplines, and you're making new friends. And also you get the opportunity to travel. This year alone, I was in Antigua representing the Trust on a board of professionals for the OECS. Next month, in November, I'm going to St. Vincent. That's because of my affiliation here with the Trust. So you have the opportunity, guys, to travel. You're going to get to visit partner sites. And also, you get to fundamentally change the island. You get to play a role in the transformation of Montserrat. And the other thing, mainly for me, and the reason why I came to the Trust in 2019 and I was on the board, is because I want to contribute to the preservation of Montserrat's culture, history, and heritage. I don't want to sit by the wayside. I don't want to phone up what's on your mind every week and complain. I want to be a part of the solution and not the problem. And that's where I'm going to end it. And I hope that all of you would want to be a part of the solution and not the problem. Complaining about things don't change anything, right? And last but certainly not least, we have one more slide. We have opportunities here as well. So those of you who are interested in the Trust and interested in working at the Trust or interested in pursuing careers in biodiversity and conservation, there are scholarships that are available to you as well. So if you're interested in that scholarship, we have the information in our reception area there. You can go and copy down the information or come and speak to me, because this is a scholarship for anyone who's interested in pursuing a master's in island biodiversity and conservation. That may be too far ahead for some of you students, but adults may be interested. But on top of that, it's also being conscious that there are also opportunities here at the Trust for you to receive bursaries and scholarships. But if you're not passing through the Trust, or if you're not keeping up with the Trust, you're going to miss out on those opportunities, okay? So if you have any questions, please let me know.
Thank you very much, Ms. Bass, and thank you very much to our second round of panelists. Do we have any questions? Because we've had a wide variety of panelists this morning, giving us, exposing us to the variety of areas within the tourism sector in Montserrat. And you know, the mantra of tourism is your business, it's my business, it's everybody's business. Tourism, as we heard this morning, is that $39 billion industry in the region. And so it is very important. And it's even more important for you as young persons to therefore be involved and see the potential of the tourism sector. And I just want to, I don't think he's here anymore, but just to, you know, give kudos to that young tour guide that you have there, you know, and to say that you can start. It doesn't have to be your main career. It can be part-time, as you have seen with some of the other panelists that we have. So let me get your mic.
I believe that my voice is picking up.
Because I want to record it.
Yeah. No, this is something that I want to say. We are living in a changing world presently. And listen to everything that's been said here today, which is fantastic. I'm only saying, like, I'm a forest ranger. I now reached to the end of my career. Now, these are the younger ones that we are looking into. And I must say that I was never felt like threatened by my job and my profession of my job and my tour guiding. Simply because I remember when I started to work at the Department of Agriculture, Frankie Michael was the director, and he said to me, he had me in a meeting, and he said to me, this is a situation where you're actually excelling out there in the tourism industry, and you're now a forester. But Scriber, what is going to happen now that you would be given the opportunity because people are looking forward for your service. And it's hard for people to come from all where they're coming from to look for that service from you. And you probably would be out with them for maybe 2 hours or 3 hours. But I'm only saying that, along my career, I never had a stumble with whether a director, a permanent secretary, or whatever have you. One of the things that because we can sit here and we can say all sorts of different things. But then what I don't want to see is for our young youths now start excelling into the tourism industry, and they probably gone into something that someone would mischievously look at and say, okay, that person is making money. Because money, and I like what Vanya was saying, if you start thinking about the money, because the passion is what we really do, money would always come, but the passion, and if you're thinking about money, just go. Just don't even think about it. But these are things that we need to look at as a community, how this is a small community, and because of our size, we are vulnerable for extinction in everything. So then and therefore, if we don't show or be careful what we do, this is something that is like wasting our time here. Because, and I'm sure that the message is out there, that everyone understands what I'm saying.
Yes, thank you. It's really about working together and trying to ensure that the opportunities that are there, that the young people are supported, because that is what is important. It is the support, it's the encouragement, and the recognition that, as we say, tourism is my business, is your business, is everybody's business, but only if we work together. And as Clover said, when they came to Montserrat, it's all about the people. And it's the people that will sell Montserrat, right? Ms. Castle, you want to say something?
One of the things I say to young people whenever I get a chance to is to remember the importance of volunteerism. I got a lot from serving on various committees. I got to travel a lot. And as somebody else said, when you travel, you're seeing what happens in other countries, what are offered as services, and you get ideas for products. I'm always picking up souvenirs, not because I want them, but because I share them with people who are creating products. And I usually say, can you do a Montserrat version of this? So those are some of the experiences that I wanted to share. The other thing is about education. The University of the West Indies Open Campus. The University of the West Indies as a whole has a mandate to assist with skills training, human resource development. And in fact, we're very proud this year that we had somebody completing the BSc in Tourism and Hospitality Management with first-class honors. Nice. And the other program, shorter one, Certificate in Tourism and Hospitality Management in the Caribbean. And we, thanks to COVID and the fact that a lot of short courses were put online, various persons in Montserrat have been doing things like interior decoration, balloon art, photography, wedding planning, jewelry making, effective business writing skills, grant proposal writing, which is a key skill for the industry if you're going to be developing your marketing plan and trying to get funding for it. Customer service. And in the past, locally, we did things like filmmaking, costume building, storytelling, candle making. Mrs. Cynthia Williams, who makes the best Well, she makes honey. She produces honey. But she has beeswax. That's one of the side products, byproducts of the industry. And so she came and she taught the young people how to make soap and candle. So those are the things for the manufacturing industry, if you can get people interested in those. Thank you.
Yes. I think also the point that needs to be made is that it does not have to be the sole career as well. Because as you have seen with other persons, it could be something that you do on the side. And you're never too young to start a business. You're never too young to start. Scriber said he started very young. He's young tour guide, he's still in school. So these are things that you can get involved with on the side. So, yes, Veneer?
So I like the idea that you're never too young to learn, but I'm also want to impress on older people. Sorry, you're never too young to teach, sorry. So a lot of the older people, one of the issues that we face here in Montserrat, and I know that a lot of the young people here, I see it, is that we're not really pulling each other up. And I'm happy to see that Scriber was saying that he's willing to assist another young person to be a future scriber. I'm saying this to all the older people out there. In every profession here in Montserrat, you need to be mentoring somebody and pulling them up. Because these children are our future and we're not just saying it. It's a fact. And we're dealing with brain drain at a very, 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 very high scale right now. And we really need to invest in these young people. And it's not just investing in them by putting on a course here and there or putting on something that's a tick box. These things need to be things that we're continuing on an annual, on a regular basis. It's no good that we're creating scholarships and we're not even making sure that these young people come back and positively contribute to the society. But a lot of what I see is we're very good at chastising young people here, but we're not good at pulling them up. And we have to really start pulling them up. When we have a carnival or festival calendar that's 60th, it needs to have young people in there. Whenever we have any festival, whether it's a literature festival, whether it's anything that we do here as a trust, we need their input because the age group between 18 and 35, those are the innovators. Those are the creators. These are the people that we have to tap into. So whether you're a farmer, take your young son out with you. But when you're taking him out with you, let him teach you about the iNaturalist app that you can use to learn more about species and stuff like that. We need to work more effectively together and stop this division. Young people need us and we need them because here at the Trust, the average age of a member is 60 plus. And if we don't do something about that now, there will be no National Trust for you to come back to in 10 years. So please, adults, take the gossip out of the way, stop feeling insecure, help young people by pulling somebody up. If that's all you do to contribute to Montserrat, you've done enough.
That's right. That's good.
Sorry, I didn't see you there. So go ahead. Then.
Yeah, one thing though, I know we keep pushing the tagline, tourism is everybody's business. But in some circles, yes, tourism is everybody's business, but not in my backyard. So it is really important now for the youth to become involved in policy, in general, not just for tourism, but policy in general, development policy, planning policy, all these kind of policies so that you can shape the future that you want and not being dictated by a few and archaic laws and regulations that unfortunately I am bound to follow, but you are the agents of change. So when you're thinking of tourism, think above the level of just the products that you can make and what you can do. Think also the policy and influence you can have to make a fundamental change for the future of Montserrat going forward.
Good word.
Yes, so we have one final comment from Ms. Golden and then we'll close off.
One of the things I recognize with young people today is that you guys ask for permission for everything. You don't need permission to have an idea and to explore it. Unfortunately, you live in an island where the negative sound is usually the loudest. It could be even in your own home. And so you, depending on who you're around, you swear Montserrat's the worst place in the world to be. Ain't nothing happening here, and there are a whole bunch, everybody else is against you. But that really isn't true. As Veneer said, it's about what you believe and what you are willing to try. Google has been my biggest teacher for everything. It doesn't matter what degree I got, everything has changed and continues to change. You guys know things innately now that we have to stress over figuring out how to work. You have to use that to your advantage to get ahead. You get an idea, test it. There's nothing wrong, you test it, ooh, that doesn't work. Okay, now you know one way it doesn't work. You try something else, that didn't work either. You keep going until you get there. The Facebook, all the apps and things we have today didn't start out successful. Most of the people who are able to get a $1 billion business now failed at their first 10 businesses. Do you understand? And we love to help people who have mistakes under their belt because we now know that you know how to overcome something and try again. Like I said earlier, Montserrat's landscape in tourism, in lots of things, it's wide open for you. It's going to be different than what you've seen before. So we talk about rethinking tourism. Although we have all these traditional things that you see, get online and go search, what does New Zealand do in tourism? You know, what do they do with fabric? What do they do with cars and all these sorts, whatever it is you're interested in, go and search and see what is some person somewhere in other parts of the world doing with that and how could you adapt that to where you live. And then you can create the business of your dreams, whether you stay or whether you go, you can still create something that can have an impact for Montserrat. You're not limited by your location, whether you're here physically or not.
Right, thank you, Ms. Golden. And just to say in closing, because I know, you know, one of the things that I always ask my tourism students when we start, well, as a young person, what do you think about tourism in Montserrat? And inevitably, they're going to say, well, ma'am, we don't have enough things to do in Montserrat. There's nothing to do in Montserrat. After one day, then you've done everything. Well, here it is. We have a flyer that says top 50 things to do in Montserrat. I'm sure we can't do all of that in one day. And I think the point that I think maybe it was Veneer or Nerissa made, that you're also the best marketing agents for Montserrat. So when you go online, or when you go on Facebook, and you're posting negative things about Montserrat, you're saying there's nothing to do here, that's a message that is getting across, right? And so you have to think about that and take from all that you have heard today from the stakeholders and recognize that Montserrat is nice, it is still paradise, and it's also somewhere that has a wide range of opportunities for you as young people. And so I just want you to reflect on all of that. And as we go now and move into the expo, where you will also have an opportunity to actually experience then some of those activities that tourists have in Montserrat. Thank you very much for participating. Thank you to all our panelists, all the information that was shared. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to the panelists for, I mean, it was such a good job. I really thoroughly enjoyed all that I've heard. And I would definitely want to thank all of you for your time and for being able to share with the students and others what you do. Thank you so much. We also thank the moderator for her services. Thank you so much, moderator, Mrs. Angela Greenaway. And for all the students who are here, we're very grateful that you took the time to come here today and to participate. I am sure you have learned something. If you have, give us a shout. Have you? That's all you learned? I'm sure you've learned a lot more than that, and hopefully you'll be able to put some of that to good use. As Mrs. Greenaway mentioned, we are going to go into the mini expo in a short order from 1 p.m. till 3 p.m. But before that, we're going to have a little bit of musical entertainment outside. We have the Volpanics Steel Orchestra who will be entertaining us for a short while. We also, I needed to promote our photo wall that we have outside. We want to thank Mr. Cian Eveling for putting that together for us. So you have an opportunity to go outside afterwards and go behind our photo wall and take your photo, and you can post those wherever you want to. So thanks a lot, Mr. Cian Eveling, for making that for us. And thanks again one and all for coming. Oh, I just want to mention, in addition to the panelists who are here, who would showcase their services, we have also the Department of Environment, the Montserrat Volcano Observatory, and Oasis Spa, who would also join us in the mini expo. Thanks once again for joining us here. Bye.
So hi, my name is Ivy Aston. We have been in Montserrat for 16 years and been running Scuba Montserrat Dive Shop for about the same amount of time, a couple years less, 14 years. We came to Montserrat because of some friends, but we really stayed here because we love it, because it's a beautiful place.
I am Andrew Myers, and the same thing. We arrived here. It was supposed to be a 3-month stay, and then it's just